Welcome, everybody, to the Analyst Desk. It is I, Jacob Moore, the self-proclaimed sports analyst, here for the headlines. Today, in 10 minutes or less, we're going to go over some of the biggest stories in sports. This show will air every Friday at noon. Let's start right off with Thursday Night Football with Phillies struggles continue. The Philadelphia Eagles have now lost 2 straight. Saquon Barkley is on pace for less than 1,000 yards this year after he had over 2,000 yards last year. Losing to the Giants is a tough pill to swallow, being outscored 21-7 from the second quarter on. No points in the second half. The Giants aren't even that good of a team. You got to be really concerned if you're the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts with a brutal interception where he's just got to go to the tight end for the much easier throw, take the shorter distance, less likely for an interception. But give the Giants credit where credit's due. Jackson Dart had a great game again. You know what? Putting up 195 yards plus a TD through the air. Also picked up some big rushing yards for the Giants, having 58 yards on the ground and a touchdown. But let's not forget about Cameron Skattebo. 19 carries, 98 yards, 3 TDs, and this guy was a man on a mission. So Giants are starting to look a little bit better. Eagles are starting to look a lot worse. We'll have more on the NFL and the standings on our next full edition of the Analyst Desk. Now let's move on to the National Hockey League. Of course, this season is underway. We saw the Leafs home opener with a big win over the Montreal Canadiens. We saw the Ottawa Senators get a big dub over the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Boston Bruins are starting to look like the Bruins of old, getting some solid goaltending, getting off to a hot start. Tampa Bay Lightning, Vasilevsky's looking a little shaky. Yes, it's early on. No need to hit the panic button like Rangers fans did, but then they got their first win of the year over the Buffalo Sabres. Now, the bigger stories right now in the NHL has actually been off the ice. You have Jack Eichel signing his big contract. Gustafsson signing his contract. McDavid not taking a pay increase to try to give the Oilers a chance of winning. You see the same thing with Jack Roslovic taking a $1.5 million salary over 1 year. Look, there was times at one point that we were hearing rumors of Roslovic getting up to $10 million, which I thought was absolutely insane. But this market has been absolutely insane. As soon as Kaprizov got 17, no one knew what these contracts are going to be like. Kyle Connor signing his big 8-year, $96 million, $12 million per year deal. Mind you, he started off with a bang, getting a hat trick in the Jets opening night. Jets didn't get the victory, but still climbing back from 5-1 to make it 5-4. Kyle Connor scoring 3 out of the 4 goals. You got to be feeling good. Mark Scheifele with 3 assists as well. Jonathan Toews for his first game since 2023 in regular season, I thought looked pretty decent, right? So, I mean, I think the Jets, I wouldn't be hitting the panic button whatsoever. I mean, no team should be hitting the panic button right now, right? Like, it's still way too early in the season. I am a little curious, though, to see a team that I'm optimistic about early in the year is actually the Pittsburgh Penguins. Penguins starting off 2-0, getting a shutout from Shelovs to start the year. No idea why Edmonton didn't go get Shelovs, but they didn't. Sidney Crosby points in back-to-back games, another 2-point game on Thursday night. Evgeny Malkin with 3 assists. Look, all of a sudden, maybe you're looking and maybe we can turn back time and we can find a way, because if Crosby and Malkin can, especially Malkin, Crosby had another really solid year last year. But if Malkin can get going, Rickard Rakell is a very solid player. Anthony Mantha just signing an extension. Look, I'm not saying Pittsburgh is going to win the Stanley Cup or anything, but I'm never counting out a team led by Sid the Kid. He may be pretty old for a kid, but at the end of the day, it's interesting to see. Calgary, however, took a hard loss to the Vancouver Canucks on Thursday night. Dustin Wolf coming in for back-to-back games, which truthfully I think was a mistake. I don't care if you don't have much faith in your backup goalie. I think after a back-to-back game in the second half of it, after your goalie had to go through an 8-round shootout plus the overtime and had to make some incredible saves, was not a fan of this decision by Calgary, and I think Dustin Wolf was just a bit too much for him. Vancouver gets a big win, but with some controversial hits from both sides. Can't wait to see the next time Calgary and Vancouver play. This is starting to heat up a lot. No hockey games on Friday. lots of games on Saturday, and we'll get you previewed for those games on Saturday. Don't you worry, okay? Don't worry one little bit. But now we got to move on to the Toronto Blue Jays, and the Blue Jays are waiting to see, are they going to face Seattle? Are they going to face Detroit? Now, let's say you want to figure this out ahead of time. Mr. More for your money, Dan Moore, More for your money, and Lane Dashing Dashco. They jumped into the baseball simulator to see who would get this big dub. So head over to our Facebook. You're on here now. So after you're done watching the headlines, you only got about 4 minutes left. So you're going to have plenty of time with the rest of your day. Check out that video before the game starts. It's also up on YouTube, and see who gets the victory. I always love to see who wins in that one. Plus, Dan and Lane's commentary is always a good time. I think for the Blue Jays, you're not really caring who wins, to be honest. I think whether you're playing Seattle and having those tossed salads and scrambled eggs, or you're playing Detroit from the 3-1-3, put your mother trucking hands up and follow me, doesn't make a difference. Both are solid teams. You had a lot of success against them in the regular season. Either way, the Jays need to be ready. They're partying hard. Gosman tweeting about good morning Blue Jays at 2 p.m. So either he had some bad internet connection or he was having a couple sody pops. So let's hope the Jays can regroup and be ready to go. I know it's a baseball thing, but I don't like the over celebrating this early. It's like, look, your goal is to win a World Series. But let's be real here. If the Jays can find a way to get to the next round, you will be talking about this team more than the 2016 team. And the way Vladdy's playing, plus Clement, Bichette, who knows if he's back or not. We'll keep you updated when we have more info on him. You never know. But let's move on to the Canadian Football League. And the Argos and Redblacks are shutting down key players. So let's start with Ottawa and Drew Brown. Drew Brown is done for the remainder of the season. Dustin Crum will be getting the start on Thanksgiving Monday. I will be curious to see if Trey Adams gets any action for Ottawa, just to see what you have with him. But I think Ottawa's evaluating Dustin Crum. I think they are trying to figure out, is Dustin Crum our guy, or is it Drew Brown? Because Drew Brown, let's just keep it a buck. Terrible season for Drew Brown. Yes, he put up some decent yardage numbers. I'm not denying that. The guy can throw for 400 yards, but if he's not making touchdowns on those drives or turning over the ball in key moments, I don't know how happy you are with it. And in Toronto, we're seeing a lot more shutdowns. Nick Arbuckle, Wynton McManus. Looks like Chad Cowie's going to be shut down for the year. Coxie and Daniels were not at practice this week, towards the end of the practice week. So truthfully, I think there's a very good chance their seasons get shut down, just because at this point, I think the Argos are in a similar spot to the Redblacks. They want to be evaluating for the future. Jared Dagey's getting the start this week. Tucker Horn is expected to get game action over the last couple games for the Argos. Very weird to see the Toronto Argos not in a playoff race at this stage of the season. But the playoffs are not completely settled, which is why Thanksgiving weekend in the CFL is a big game. So Rough Riders can beat the Argos on Friday, today. They clinch a playoff spot. Not just clinch a playoff spot, they clinch first in the West. Hamilton versus Calgary. Hamilton's really looking to put the pedal to the metal and make sure they get first in the East. Winnipeg versus Edmonton. Both of these games are on Saturday. Hamilton, Calgary, 3 o'clock. Winnipeg, Edmonton at 7 o'clock. We might be at the Hamilton game, so keep your eye open. Edmonton has to win this game. If they don't win this game, their season is done. So they absolutely have to win this matchup. And of course, you have the Redblacks versus the Alouettes. Alouettes are looking to keep pace with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Redblacks are really just looking to evaluate. So 4 games over Thanksgiving. At least 2 of them could be very, very big for standings, depending how they go. But I'm going to say this. I don't think Toronto or Ottawa are ready to quit yet. Yes, their seasons are done, but they still have a lot to play for. You're playing for spots. Coaches are playing for jobs. Bob Dice is on the hot seat. I think Ryan Dimwitty's on the heated seat, we'll say, and it's only on setting 1. But that's all we have time for on the headlines today. Thank you very much for joining the headlines. This will be a new show that airs every Friday at noon. So until next time, enjoy the rest of your lunch. Thank you for joining the Analyst Desk, where every day feels like game day.